Good morning. It's Thursday, the 17th of February 2022. This is FYI. Welcome. I'm here this morning. Amanda Walton this year.
Welcome back.
Sharon Duncan and Ms. Joretta Fernandez. We're so happy. Thank you. We're so happy to be able to come to you this morning in your homes, at your work, wherever you're hearing us from. Good morning. This is FYI for your information. Sharon?
Yep. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Good to be here with Amanda. It's good to be here with Eureka. And good to be here with you guys, especially Siobhan, McDonald, and Vashti, Madnod, Beatrice, Selby, all you fantastic folks. Really good to be here with you. Really
Beatrice, you're getting an award at the end of the first year of this program. Beatrice is always the first person.
Always first. Number one.
Wow.
Yep.
Benjamin that's saying good morning. Veronica Primo Rollins, good morning to you out there in Atlanta.
Martha
Harris.
Good morning, Martha.
I see Vashti is tuning in from Waterloo, Canada. Pauline Chalmers is saying good morning. Don Cook, another very faithful.
All the cooks are always here.
Follower.
In the kitchen, the cooks must be here.
Carla Archer, good morning.
I'm going to be looking for eye candy this morning, Sharon. Let me see what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Petrol Thorne is here too. Sherry Baskin, Greenwich, and Sandra Peters. Good to see you guys.
Guys, let us know where you're joining us from. We love to see how what is the reach of our program in the morning. So let us know where you're joining us from throughout.
Is Zambia here? Is Zambia Caribbean?
I know Zambia.
Judith is joining us from Bartica. Good morning, Judith.
I see Shawnette is joining us from New Jersey. Good morning, Shawnette. Hey, Jordan
Shawnette.
Fraser.
Sherry Van
Penelope is in Brooklyn.
Long Island.
Wow.
Good to see you guys.
From Bartica.
I see Warren Figuera is here as well. Guys, where are you joining us from?
Warren is joining us.
Share the live stream.
Good morning, Rowena. We love and appreciate you too. Where are you tuning in from, Rowena?
In the house.
Arizona's here.
And then there's Niagara Falls, New York.
I wouldn't mind being in some of those places right now. Arvin says I'm flanked by two beautiful ladies.
Oh, thank you,
Guilty I'm flanked. A beautiful lady.
Good morning, Andrew. He says good morning to the FYI family.
Beth Vaughn is joining us from the UK. Good morning to Beth Vaughn and everyone else joining from the UK this morning. Someone is joining us from Diamond.
Glennis Mingoburn. Good morning, Glennis.
Diamond House. That's right behind our studio.
Yes, Rowena says a lovely Linden is around the table. Yes.
Two Lindeners.
Don is joining us from Bachelor's Adventure.
Hey, Bachelor's Adventure. That's lovely. I'm glad to have someone from Bachelor's Adventure here.
And there's somebody from Chester, West Coast, Samantha.
I was at one point.
Georgia is in the house this morning. Hey, guys.
Destiny. That's the right people. Sherman Jackson. Good folks. Good to have all of you guys as you come on. We know, folks get very engrossed in these programs. And you get, you're frozen, but we want you guys to work your hands, work your minds too.
Annandale is in the house this morning. Fenton is joining us from Annandale. Good morning to you and all the folks joining from Annandale this morning. Good morning from Mocha.
Dunsford is watching us from Mocha. Hey, Dunsford, good morning.
Mocha in the house. Good to have you guys.
Covent Garden is in the house also this morning. Mahaika, Linden. Oh my God, we're loving it. This is a program that you can.
Good morning even to you, Rakesh. Hope you're having a wonderful day.
Yes.
Shout out Rakesh. I didn't see the name. Shout out Clear Capel.
Rakesh.
Divine Smith.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Rakesh is a little upset.
Rakesh is very upset. But good morning to
Rakesh.
Top of the morning, Rakesh.
Just drink some water. Step out of the anger circle, Rakesh. Step out of that and start your day right. But
it's a good morning.
It's a good morning.
We have the Silver Doc. The Silver is joining us from Maryland. So good morning to the folks who's joining us from Maryland this morning. Sharon, persons, I had a lot of messages of people complaining that we skipped the name. So I'm trying to go.
Sorry about that. Marina White, Marina Williams, Marlon C. Ford,
Rakesh, sing
Penelope
again.
Green,
Penelope Green.
Gladys Mingo Bourne, Gladstone Matthews, Roxanne Garraway,
Bernard Martin.
Let us go like that. Let us go like that. Michelle
McKay.
McKay. Yeah. Amalou Asemio, whatever that fancy name is. Oselmo, going by so fast. Elizabeth Gaskin.
Tell us where you're joining us from. Even you, Rakesh. Rakesh, where you joining us from?
Which hole, Rakesh? Under which rock you joining us from?
Of course, I like the fact that Rakesh comes to the program every single day, and that is
even if it's abuseless.
No, that's a very important person to be here because Rakesh, I know you're looking at it. It's very important that you're here, you share your views, and you have a better understanding. Everyone, we can have these frank discussions as we move along with the program during the course of the morning. But there's a lot of information out there, and I'm glad persons are actually asking the tough questions, and we'll be able to give those answers.
Absolutely.
So good morning to you, Rakesh, and we're so happy to have you. We look forward to having you every morning.
Eveline is joining us from Caneville Grove.
Oh, lovely.
Right from the corner.
I haven't been there in a while.
What's your breakfast, Eveline?
Lena Roberts.
What's your breakfast there?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, guys. And Dawn says, Kathy Fowler, good morning, Kathy. There's somebody from Mahaika, Michelle McKay. Good morning.
I see Patricia.
I see a Jude from Turkey.
Oh, Rakesh says he's watching at us from Georgetown.
Exactly.
Oh,
I see somebody saying, Rakesh, please be a good boy.
Well, we hope Rakesh stays tuned and he
Rakesh, we're sending some cyber hugs and so on.
Yes. You feel like you need a hug.
Yeah, you need a hug. I got
Rakesh. We have a lot.
Did we cover everybody?
I
think
so. We will not be able to. So
we hope we cover everybody.
We have to come back to this.
Yeah, we have to. We don't want to move on. Susan Harris, Ben, and so on. Shelley Mosley. Tell Gordon hi for us. But we have to move on.
Good morning to Gordon. Yeah. Indeed, I see Gordon.
Big Uncle Gordon. And you know who else too? Our very good friend Travis Chase. Respect a man as Travis. Respect a man.
I think we'll be inviting Travis on this show.
We should invite Travis.
And Gordon too,
We should
and Gordon.
Travis and Gordon side by side. I'd love to see it. Folks, how many of you would love to see Gordon in our program and Travis? Side by side. Yep. That would be something. My Lord. Two big men in media.
FYI.
There's so much to learn, so much for us to learn from those individuals.
Yeah. But I think Manza has a big woman who's in the media right now making a lot of waves. Manza said, who is that? Look at the script.
Oh my
Who's
God.
that?
So we were having this discussion earlier about Rihanna and the way that she is Penelope said not Guyanese critic, but Penelope, let me hold a focus. Hold Rihanna, and we were talking about this morning how we really love the way.
I like how the graphic blocking
that she is redefining pregnancy and sporting the baby bump and having it all out there, and I think it's quite liberating to see.
You think so?
Absolutely. I think in our society. There is traditionally this culture of you being pregnant, you must be covered, it must be, it's not as liberating as
and she's proud.
She shows it off. Yes. But really and truly, that is, the essence of womanhood. And so why not? Flaunt it. Why not flaunt it?
But Rihanna has been somewhat of just not a music icon alone, but a fashion icon. The Caribbean is so proud of all the work that she has been doing. To know that she's pregnant, the Caribbean is celebrating this whole pregnancy with Rihanna. So every time she goes out there and she posts a picture of the baby bump, so everybody's going crazy. And this is not just Guyana, the Caribbean.
It's like how to be pregnant too. It's like how to be pregnant too.
So liberating, right?
But what I want to know is whether you guys would wear your pregnancy in this liberating way.
Well, I
simultaneously.
No, I can answer that question quite frankly. See, in order for Rihanna to be that liberated in what she does, she's in a liberated society, right? So in Guyana, we are not at that level of our culture.
We really are not culturally ready.
Our culture hasn't graduated to that level.
I can see you all, man. I can see you all changing that culture. challenging that culture.
Well, when you see that, we can see the headlines. MP. This and that.
Yeah.
I could hear. Why should I not your age?
Why don't actually age?
But those are important conversations, and especially as we move, I think, closer to Women's Day 2022. It's coming to March. Important conversation. But I hope the guys can pull back that photograph. I was very distracted last night when we talked about this also in the ring. Rihanna, and I went home and had to face my wife because I said, I won't mind taking one for the kids. I heard that. So I said, babes, you can't tell me you won't let me pass up such a as a family, we can have some compromising. I mean, this is Rihanna. It's not just anybody.
Yeah.
This is Rihanna we're talking.
It's really good to see. Generally, women become very self-conscious. Their bodies are changing. Stretch marks. Things are migrating south at a faster rate.
Oh my God.
And so, what does that mean?
These things begin to sag and so on. And so there's generally a level of self-consciousness. But to me, that is when a woman is most
beautiful.
Woman and most beautiful. And to mature men, they see that.
Talk to me now.
You
just call my name.
It's not all about the glamour. Sherry was just saying that he had to go and answer some questions. Guyanese women, we're different. I don't know about anybody else. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't share.
They're taking one for the team story.
But this is Rihanna.
I do not share.
This is Rihanna.
I cannot be with somebody who wants to share. I'm sorry.
But it's interesting. It's interesting to see, again, as you women said, how Rihanna is celebrating the birth of her first child.
It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And so, being a mother of 2 children, it's really one of the most beautiful experiences. It really is like you having a piece of your heart outside of your body. It really, really is.
We need men to look at it in the same light as well. And I see a lot of the time we see Rihanna,
I guarantee you the men don't have a problem with it.
You see her spouse there, right, with her, and the
men generally is the women who give each other a hard time, The men really don't have a problem with it. The most criticism, let me be honest, guys, the most criticism of women come from other women. And it's really sad that, I'm so grateful for people like Joretta and so on. We really got a very good relationship where we build each other up and you're each other hype squad. It's very rare to find, and I'm very grateful.
You have to be genuine, You don't find it easily. A lot of persons out there, you have to be. For me, I'm not a pretentious person. Everyone that knows me knows I'm not pretentious. I just say it as it is. What you see is what you get. If you don't like it, I can't go out and just befriend someone if it's not genuine. So when I say Manza is a good,
she's solid.
It's solid.
so guys, while Rihanna is sending electricity through social media with these kinds of photographs, we got some stuff happening in Trinidad. Seems to be going south of that, especially where electricity is concerned.
I have my own comments on it. Just bring it up, technician.
Yeah. So folks in Trinidad, they had blackout yesterday, nationwide blackout. And you would think the world is ending, how Trinidadians carried on. I mean, they say people left work, were on their way home, traffic lights weren't working. It's like the country came to a standstill because after many, many years, eons and eons, they had blackout yesterday. I mean, and people were ready to go and mob and lynch
Keith Rowley.
And you had all of that happening. We picked this up out of the Trinidadian Guardian. And guys, this is something strange to us, this kind of reaction.
Well, there's I think the technician actually bring this back up to us because, Manza, Cheryl, let's be quite honest. When I read about Trinidad having this whole, there's chaos and confusion in the streets because they have a blackout. I'm like, what? I want to have their problems.
It's some very first world
problems,
But it really does go to show.
And we gotta be worried that the light don't cut off and leave us in the dark.
The GPL don't show up. But Sharon, I think it is really indicative of where they are in their society and where we are as Guyanese. I personally get PTSD at particular times in my house. You know how your fridge makes a sound and then it cuts off, because that is what it does.
Yeah.
So between the second that it cuts off, you're like, and then because it's not blackout. We are a traumatized population, because you would have your day so well planned. This, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, and then GPL decides no,
that's not
we have other plans, and it's very traumatic. It's very, very traumatic. Reliable power supply is such an important aspect of a developmental framework in society. We gotta bring back Patu.
As a matter of fact,
the country has been saying that.
Nasima Ragobert took to social media quite recently, and she said she was wondering when GPL was going to surprise during this international conference with a blackout. And then there it was, a lovely blackout in the midst of the international conference. So, Trinidadians, we say this, take it easy.
It's not the end of the world. Believe us.
Trinities, take it easy.
Believe
take it from us.
It is not the end of the world.
Take it from us. We still clap here when life come back, because we're so grateful. We're so grateful.
You hear the kids on the street, it's like again.
Yeah, we're at that stage. We're at that developmental stage. We clap when life come back. The sun will still rise tomorrow.
The struggle is real.
we even have the cases we can point to. I mean, we wish to get to these levels. Like I know Dubai, they had a few years ago actually they had announced that they were 25 years or so without blackout. So basically, what they were saying that they were babies that were born and grew to the age of 25 without knowing what a
power outage is. My God.
Are you trying to say, wow, that's a futuristic dream?
It's
25 years without tobacco. You understand the level of efficiency? You understand that? Wow.
But I think importantly, we need for Guyanese to understand that this is not just something that Dubai can achieve. This is possible here.
It's planning.
It's possible here. Yep. And I think, and I'm sure we'll come to the energy conference. But one of the things that stood out to me, because of course we bought our tickets and we attended the exhibition. We weren't officially invited, but we went. And one of the things that really stood out to me is just how much one group cannot develop this country.
Yes.
They just don't have the capacity, and that is the truth.
But it's not just not having the capacities. They don't even have the understanding of what are the actual needs of the entire
like
society.
The developmental priorities, right? Yeah.
But I think what is the takeaway for me is, as against the we and they, we need to do this together as a people.
It has to be, right? It's the only
politics got to take a backseat at some point. And I think it was Nigel Hughes who was sitting where I am, and he said that we have to look to a 10, 20, 30-year plan, and regardless of who you might haggle about the details. That's what Nigel said.
Yeah.
You might haggle about the details, how to accomplish it, but we have to set certain benchmark for how we're going to develop this country.
It is interesting that you would say that. I was having this discussion with a young person. He looked to be no more than 30, and he was expressing to me, MP, his frustration at how stymied we are. Clearly has lived overseas and so is exposed. And I said, you know what, I believe that the only way that we are going to be able to see proper development is if we come up with a developmental plan that Guyanese agree on and that is enshrined to a particular level, so that it doesn't matter which government executes it. This is the plan that we Guyanese want to see.
But there are ways to get
I elect you to run with this plan, not to break and build every 5 years. It is going to be inimical to our interests, and I think we have to, as a Guyanese people, understand that we have a unique opportunity. So Rakesh, I hope you're hearing us. This type of cussing and so on early in the morning will accomplish nothing. It is time that we get together and realize that we are all Guyanese, and that if we are going to develop our country, we got to do it from both sides of the political
And every voice, I dare say every voice counts. And this is a point that I made to a young man that I saw out on the protest line yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Never get to the stage that you believe that your voice is just one voice and your voice
And it
wouldn't
doesn't
matter,
matter.
right?
Yeah.
Every voice counts. And now we go down to even election, every vote counts. And those are the things that people need to understand. We need to keep on cementing that type of thinking in the minds of young people altogether. We can have a situation when it comes to the oil resources of this country. It has to be a collective movement. It has to be a collective plan of action. It can't be a one-sided thing because whenever one side goes and plan, the other side does not have an input, then you will always have an issue. Let us be quite frank with how that goes. If we have a system in which we can have, for example, government and opposition sitting together and putting forward a plan, taking it to the people, even carrying it to an election of the people to say, well, look, the people of this country is voting to say this is what these two groups of people came together and put out, and yes, we want it. So in that sense, even moving forward, when governments change, the plan still continues, and that is the only way for Guyana to win. We can't win in any other setting.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. It really, we are really at the point as a nation where we have to take stock and decide what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because what you're seeing is that as Guyanese, you are basically being relegated to a second-class citizen in your own country. And there's an African proverb: when brothers fight, a stranger inherits their land.
Yes.
And so we have really got to decide as
well, you're now going into some areas that Mia Martin touched on. Tenants in their own land, and we can talk about that.
Tenants in their own lands.
We
And
can talk about that soon enough.
this is what is happening. And so one of the things that I really want to see, though, and it's something that we are looking at in terms of piloting through the National Assembly, is that there has to be a cutoff point for access in terms of citizenship. We have to
We spoke about this. We have objections.
We have to preserve Guyana for Guyanese. If you look at the Dubai model that Irfan Ali touts so much, you go there, you work, you pay your taxes, but you are never a citizen. Here, after 3 years, you become a citizen. It's not about protectionism as much as it is about ensuring.
But if you look, might continue that point.
No, but
I want to bring in something else.
Yeah, it's not about protectionism as much as it is ensuring that Guyanese and their descendants are able to fully participate in the patrimony of their nation.
Yes.
Because we Barney, we struggled through the years,
yes,
and therefore
my God.
we must enjoy the fruits of our existence and the trauma we had to suffer with blackout
and we can talk about that, which is again part of the issue that Attorney at Law Nigel Hughes raised on our program here. That here you have this legislation passed recently that have the most tenuous linkages to citizenship. Yeah. And people can just come and inherit so much, and we right here in this struggle, and got to fight for the things that we want. And
the point that I want to raise before you move forward on that is that man's brought up on Dubai, and person speaking about Dubai, and people need to go research and note these things because yes, you go and you look and you research and you see all the nice things and so forth. Dubai is at a stage right now when it comes to the citizenship and the way in which their wealth is protected to make sure that the citizens benefit. They're at a position right now that their citizens refuse to do certain jobs.
Yes.
But for that, they have to import labor to do certain jobs because the citizens are so well cared for
and
that they don't even go and work in certain departments.
Now, we know that Guyana has a population 800,000. We don't have the labor force.
Of course not.
But so you'll have to import labor. But we have to put in place some kind of protective mechanism to ensure that our rights and obligations, privileges, benefits that accrue to us as citizens are not.
We did the complete opposite. We went to the National Assembly and we did the exact opposite.
You see, but don't
let me just not say we.
Don't even let us go that far. No, but it's all of us. All of us are involved, all of us are consumed by it, and we are still going to be hamstrung by the deficiencies of it. Because while we're talking about this blackout in Trinidad and this blackout after a very, very long time in Trinidad, look at one of our struggles. For instance, right now at the GRO's office, there's a struggle for birth certificates.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the things people got a real gripe with now. The birth certificates issue at the GRO's office And I think we even have, that's one of the morning trends here. The birth certificate issue. People have a gripe with this. Now here is Trinidad, and just a simple blackout after many, many years, they want to throw out the government. Every day, people are challenged with getting a birth certificate. They say they had to wait a year, 2 years for a little piece of paper that says your child was born here and entitled to the rights.
But I want us to talk about something else that comes with this, and it goes back to what we were just speaking about, the protecting the rights of the citizen. Amanda was one of our speakers on the floor of the National Assembly when we spoke to the bills that they brought to the House.
The registration of births
and deaths. And we gave these objections because we knew that it was coming. So those bills were they were flawed to the maximum extent. And we cannot continue like this because we are threatening Guyanese, born and raised, went through the struggles. Those are the persons that we are threatening with.
And listen, the reality is that what you're seeing, this is simply a manifestation of the fact that this government, the present administration, does not have a comprehensive plan. They do, and they deal in political expediency. So it's expedient for me to have lax rules as it relates to how somebody can get a birth certificate.
Yeah.
But they do not understand the long term, or they don't care about the long term impact.
I think the rules are lax for some people, but clearly a lot of people are struggling to get a birth certificate, and that's something we see across social media, and people keep raising with us in our private capacities all the time. Why can't I go? You fill up the form. It used to take about 2 weeks. A week to 2 weeks to get your birth certificate. Now it's months persons are waiting. And again, we come back to this whole system. It depends on who you know. But let me give you an example, guys. Let me give you an example. My son, my oldest son, happened to be born in Trinidad. And so we were trying to get a US visa here for him, and he needed to have an updated something, but we needed to have an updated birth certificate for him because Trinidad had transitioned to a newer form of it. And the embassy was requiring that. We did all of that online, had that birth certificate posted online in record time, never stepped into a building in Trinidad to register, registered online, had it paid online, had it posted here online.
How many years ago?
And in record time. This is last year.
This is good. And so you see.
This is last year.
And so you see.
So we know what we're talking about.
And they were responsive. Because
they were responsive.
It's COVID, and the people have put systems in place. And they have a population of what? Over 1 million, close to 2. And so it really is about Guyanese, I think, at the end of the day, realizing that we deserve better. And this is why I love people like Rakesh who come to interact on the program, because I frequently ask, so what do you want? And when you listen to them, I just want a country that I can live in and
but that is the thing. All of us want the same things.
Right.
But it's how we choose
how.
it.
How. We have been ingrained to think that the how means we got to be nasty politically. We gotta engage in ethnic insecurities and cause people about.
But you can even give the example. Cher was talking about Trinidad and the way in which he was able to interact online and get those things done. But you would have had a part of that would have had to be dealt with in Guyana, I'm sure. And did you get a chance to do anything online in Guyana?
That's another story. No, but that's the problem folks are raising with the GRO's office. They gotta go there and stand up. You gotta go there and check. You call on the phone, nobody answers. Because you're running around. That freaks people out. The opposite IN page, you had somebody calling to say, we've posted the birth certificate. Expected by X time. This and that. You had to follow up there. You call a number, somebody was there answering you in a foreign country. And that is the challenge that we have.
This is the point that Joretta makes all the time about service and customer service and just the attitude of public servants. But then when you think about the fact that these people didn't get a 10% increase
but we have listen, I did my master's in public administration, right? And I remember one specific course I was doing is management information system, basically integrating the technology into what we're doing today. It goes right back to what Sherrod is speaking about. And one of the things, I think about the challenges persons have out there, like what challenges do you have when it comes to the public sector? And one of the things that I pinpointed for my project was that, persons have a challenge when they go in and they apply for a job, and then you're waiting and no response, and you're calling and no response. My project was basically designed to say that we should have a system that is so transparent that persons can apply online and they should be able to track what stage their application is at, and so to see where it is pending on whose desk at what point in time, so that you have that rapidness and feedback and that mechanism all together. And those are the things that I'm very, very passionate about. So these are things that we just don't come and we just talk about. We actually put effort into planning for these changes to make the lives of Guyanese
and researching and researching.
Most definitely.
But politics aside, we have, as we said, to set certain benchmarks. We got that long-term plan. How we gonna move forward? Whoever go or come, the systems must move forward. Right? That is, I think, part of the challenge that we have, but it's a positive area that we should be heading into. And while we talk about challenges that we have, Amanda and Jarita, we often see around these parts, things tight. Things tight. Look at one of our challenges. This is a young man, Vishnu Samaru, who died of stage 4 cancer quite recently. And his parents went to visit his gravesite and found that people had broken into the grave, stole the little gold and the money they buried Mr. Vishnu Samaru with. The family has been further thrown into mourning and grief and all of that. This is Hampshire burial ground in Berbice. Under quarantine, he was 20 when he died from stage 4 cancer, and again they really ravaged that tomb, pitched the body one side. Amanda, these are the issues we are grappling with in our country.
Wow.
It is. When I saw the photograph of the body one side, and it was traumatic, man. It was, but are we losing our humanity? Is that what is happening?
Well, I looked at it. I looked at that photo. When we picked up that story during the course of yesterday, we were picking it up from our affiliate program, our affiliate site, the news site, Credible Sources. And Credible Sources did a write-up and actually said, well, this child, he had 4 siblings and he died, like you just said, at the age of 20 years old. But one of the things that I noted when I did some research on this matter is that back in October, his father had made a public plea for help, because as a father and as parents all together, all you can do is come out and you ask persons for help and support. And he was asking the minister if they can support anybody, that if they can bring any assistance. And this, I want to know that this was the first time, only now that grave was vandalized, and so that I heard of this story. I never heard of it before. And so a lot of times we tend as a population to just go into the more sensational stuff that is on. And those things, when that father was pleading for that help, those are things that we need to be sharing widespread. All who can give financial aids and so need to come forward and do those things. But now we're speaking after the fact, and we're speaking about the matter that is so disturbing, that those parents that went through having to care for their child that was ill, they went through they lost their child to that illness, and then going through the whole, it was on the 21st of January that young man was buried. And now, instead of them being able to move forward from that level of grief, they are now more traumatized by the events of having to see the
decomposed state.
Come on, what are we doing as a society? What does this say about us as a society?
I think this whole story is so multi-layered. For instance, because what has to possess you as a human being to say things are so bad that they're going to rob the grave? You understand me? I'm going after the little gold and money somebody put in there. I mean, things got to be really, really rough and tough with you, or something, the elevator meeting the top floor.
It is. I think it's just symptomatic of where we are as a society and just the level of desperation. And this is why we keep harkening back to the point that we gotta get it together and quickly, because it is not one set of people that will suffer. Because y'all know I preach this. If you keep creating a class of have and have nots, you will end up having a class of people with nothing to lose and some with everything to lose.
Yep.
And you see where we're going in terms of
and that is a society
conflict.
That's a society that we have right now. People get upset. Listen to me. We had one program in which we were talking about you have to look at, even when it comes to these petty crime on the road. We made a point. I specifically made a point. You have to look at it as in a holistic framework. You have to be sure that when you are dismantling it, yes, you have the police doing their job, and yes, you have, but the society has a responsibility. And I made a point that when you're dismantling these systems, you have to dismantle the entire structure altogether. And I noted that there was one particular person that found that to be offensive. But we have to keep bringing back these points exactly to what you're saying right about now. It's a system that you have to
what has occurred to me?
It's a system you have to tackle.
What has occurred to me, as a man would say, what has occurred to me is that you may have had some mourners by that funeral who didn't really mourn for the boy, you know. You're looking to see
I don't want to say it, you know.
Looking to see the perfume you put in there. Looking to see the little jewels you put in. The little money.
Someone that saw that would have known that they could have gone back and done that.
So not everybody will come around you when you're grieving, really grieving with you. Yep. They're looking for the opportunity to bounce. That's another takeaway from this story. But in other news, we were following this in the other things that are trending this morning. We have been following this issue of this disabled, differently able guy in Region 8, Giles Henry, and the abuse that was meted out to him by the police in Region 8. And this is another one, quite.
We covered this story Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning we spoke about it, but basically, let us just give a recap of what happened, right? On Tuesday morning, we said that information was coming out that Giles Henry of Kirkbarron Region 8 was allegedly beaten by a police officer who was stationed in our Duke office. And today we're saying that the update is that he is now under close arrest. But what happened with that situation was that this young man, I think he's 35 years old, if I'm not mistaken, he was out and he is deaf, he's dumb, and he has visual issues as well, and he's out and the community knows him, and he had his washi on his back and he was going about selling, and the police officer tried to stop him and was calling out him. He didn't respond, so that officer responded by beating him up, as I can put it quite frankly as that, before throwing him into a cell. And I was surprised that I didn't see all these a lot of organizations coming out and actually condemning that action, because this is a small country that we're living in. I often say that our human resources are most valuable resource. And here you have a differently able individual. He can't speak, he can't hear, he has issues with his sight, and he can get out there and he can be working. He's not going around begging or anything like that. He's out there and he's working. And how is he treated by society? The police, that officer took it upon himself to physically assault, allegedly. And we keep using these words to be correct with what the information that we're given is alleged at this point. But I want to say I have to commend the police force for the update that we're given this morning, because the police force is saying that this individual is under close arrest and we are investigating this matter. So,
but I even hope with that's not just form.
Yes.
Right? That has a meaningful end, because even outside of the disabilities that Giles Henry has, even outside of that, somebody who doesn't respond initially to the police response can be abuse, can be violence. Right? Whether the person got the sight, they got the hearing and all that, the response cannot be violence. If you're not wielding a cutlass or a gun or something like that, how you mean from trying to get my attention to violence?
It really does show the need for continued training and capacity building in our police force. So, Ropes and Ben, we hope you're listening.
They're listening. They're all listening.
You need to get your police force together. Like, we keep saying there's some good men and women in the police force.
Indeed.
I know some of the most professional policemen, but the reality is, Loretta, they go in there and they become frustrated.
No, some of them are good. There's one particular police officer at that station in Bartica, and we knew him like growing up, like everybody grew up together, and he has been working there for quite some time. I'm not going to call his name, but he has an impeccable track record when it comes to service to people and the way in which he goes about it all together.
Is he still working there?
No, he is there right now.
Judy says he's working for a long time, and one wonders,
No, it is quite amazing.
I'm putting an asterisk here. if one of the reasons why he's still working there, he's too nice. You're too nice, you can't advance in the system. No, because if you're nice and you're dealing well, you say impeccable record, you should be going up and trying to spread that influence in the system. Might be too nice. Might be too nice. But that being said, one of the takeaway from this this Giles story, Giles Henry story, the disabled, differently able gentleman from Region 9 who was abused by the police allegedly, and now the police is on the investigation who would have committed that act on Mr. Giles Henry, is that even though disabled, look at him out there, you're trying to be a productive citizen, right? Being a productive citizen, that is important that we rise above the challenges that we have. Too many people, I think, give up and say, oh, it's the system. Is somebody responsible for my lot in life? As against really truly trying to rise above that and being a productive citizen. And one such person who has done so recently is Rebecca Mohan Ram. And if there's anybody, if you read her story, we're picking this story up out of HGP-TV Nightly News. If you've read Rebecca Mohan Ram's story, it is really one that says, if you want to succeed, you can succeed. I mean, tremendous challenges, and I want to say respect and manners to Rebecca. So many challenges, being put out of their childhood home, having to move into a church. They were homeless. They didn't have a home in the sense of having their own home and so on. Going into that, suffering depression, a whole host of other issues with work and UG failing a course and all of that. And her end is that she's a graduate now from the University of Ghana, really rising above so many challenges. And I think too often, this is my own personal view, too many of us blame the system because it's easy. It's easy to blame the system. Who was telling us recently, was it you, Amanda, who was telling me that the Japanese have no word for danger?
They have no word for danger.
Danger and opportunity.
The word for danger is actually the same word for opportunity.
Good. And so we see a COVID environment. But in that environment, Elon Musk earned the most money perhaps in his career. In that environment, Amazon, is making billions. Yeah. There are opportunities out there, but I think too often, the easiest thing to say is the government. It's the opposition. It's the opposition. But when you say come with boots on the ground, and the protest is another story, we come to that. It is easy to say it's the opposition. It's easy to say the government. And we have a role to play as well. We're shirking from that responsibility. But sometimes we too gotta bring something to the table and say, I want to succeed irrespective of those guys. Yes. And I think that is what Giles Henry was doing, and that is what Rebecca Mohan Ram is doing.
But Rebecca is a phenomenal individual. Let me tell you, it's not easy to come from those situations and to accomplish something in life. Because guess what? The man made a point earlier, Sherry, that sometimes women critique each other the most as opposed to men critiquing. I can tell you that persons are going to go out there and they're going to say, congratulations, Rebecca, and so forth. But who was the one pushing her on when she needed you the most? You need to make yourself into that individial that someone will point and say, this person supported me. This person encouraged me to push forward. Because and I relate so much to situations like Rebecca's situation, because I've known it and I've said it publicly 100 times. I came from a situation of poverty, and it was not easy to elevate yourself about that. But I had a support system, and my mother said, yes, we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep going forward. And we have to create a society and a system in which, I'm back to the structure again in society, we have to create this support system for young people, because when they win, we win. So congratulations.
Absolutely, Rebecca. Congratulations to you, and best wishes. I'm sure she's going to do well.
Respect and manners, Rebecca.
She's going to do well.
And folks, we got this oil and gas summit happening, and Mia Motley's here. And I'm happy. I got my own differences with Mia in the past, politically and all that. But Mia's here, and we saw Mia quite recently out and about, moving around, enjoying this country. This is Latam, guys. Mia was there, enjoying part of our culture. We as one of our peoples in this country, we have the indigenous, right? But some countries, they don't have indigenous people. I think it's just here and some in Trinidad. You got Suriname and so forth. And so all the people value this culture the way we don't. Yeah. And so Mia went to Latam, having a look around to see what else is here in this country. We've been saying this country is not just the Marriott, it's not just that piece of real estate there.
In fact,
right? We got a big country.
In my view, the most beautiful parts of Guyana are inland.
Mm-hmm. The further inland you go,
the further
inland you go, your whole quality of life improves.
Yes.
I often
whole quality of life improves.
I often speak about going to Letem and having that whole experience of actually going through the road and not going by flight, and it was the most beautiful experience.
When I go to Letem, I don't want to come back.
I'm telling you,
it is like something.
The only reason I'm not living in Letem is because of the transportation.
Yes.
Because we don't have that clear line.
Yes.
I would have been living in Letem.
Listen, when you go, there's just something about the mountains and just the fresh air,
the serenity,
and the people are so kind.
Yes, they're serene.
The food and everything different, and then
you know what I found
it's really something.
This might be anything, but I find they speak even better.
They
speak even better.
Their temperament is so much more even. They're very even tempered.
Yeah.
They're very respectful. They take their time and they speak so that you hear them, you understand what they're saying, they enunciate everywhere. It is a tremendous.
And I think part of our culture locally is so fascinating because, as you said, if you go further inland, the culture is so different, your whole quality of life, the atmosphere, everything. And the closer you get to the borders, you feel like really that second-class citizen in your own country. Because here are these people speaking all these different languages. You hear you picking up the radio stations and so on, television stations from neighboring countries, and you think, am I still here?
At least I believe 90% of the people that live in Lethem speak Portuguese.
But let me tell you a cultural shock I had. We had a town day in Lethem, and I went up for, and 90% of the concert was in Portuguese. 90% of the concert, they brought different groups from, the different countries and so on. 90% of the concert in Lethem was in Portuguese.
But people need to understand, so Guyanese,
fascinating.
Persons listening to this, we're going to do a little bit of advertising for the tourism industry, because we can safely say Lethem is one of the most spectacular places in Guyana that you can never imagine going and seeing. You must. If you didn't have it on your bucket list, put it on there right now.
Go. You rediscover Lethem.
Let me tell you, I'll share a very personal story.
Talk to us.
First time I went to Lethem, we were driving to Mokomoko.
Yes.
And I had to come out, and to God, I shed some tears. Yeah. Just the sheer breathtaking beauty. I was like, this is Guyana.
The vistas. Wow.
This is Guyana. And we like look up on the state on the coast fighting.
And we think this is the country.
And this is it, but it is
this is the country.
Beautiful.
So that being said, Mia Motley visited Lethem, guys, and Mia Motley and the Prime Minister of Barbados, we have Nana Addo is visiting the President of Ghana. We got President
his full name is
Chan Sanchoki.
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo.
Well, then I'll have to say Mia Amor Motley.
Well, at least you're saying Mia Motley. Never mind.
Mia Motley. That's not the story. These guys are here and they are making waves, and I think challenging us as a society, as a people. I don't want to just say the government to do more for the people, but challenging us as a people to rise to the occasion that oil and gas has presented as a people. And just as a people. And this is the big issue that we have this morning. Rising together as a people, putting aside political differences and forging a way forward to build this country of ours. And this is one of the things Mia Motley has said in a recent presentation there at the oil and gas Marriott. And I wish the guys can allow us to see some of the media that are going to play. But I think it's the first one, the very, very first one. It's in the media section there, and the very, very first insert. Fantastically, again, challenging us to rise above the occasion, and I don't think we have it just yet. But again, again, we can discuss around the issue of the words, telling us that we shouldn't be tenants in our own country.
Yeah,
we just shouldn't.
And what clearer a message? Very, very often when you're in something, right? Do we have it?
I think we have it.
Oh,
I think you should just go right back to where you were, and you had it just recently.
All right, yeah.
We were making the point that sometimes when you are out of a situation, you're able to zoom out and you're able to see the bigger picture. Very often we live here, and so certain views we don't have. But it's very important to listen to the feedback from people like PM Motley, because they have an outside view of these things. And I truly, truly believe that we can rise to the occasion. Guyanese are some of the smartest people. You go around
Guyana
the
has
world.
enjoyed much indeed.
You go around the world.
Guyana has
and
enjoyed
Guyanese,
much.
You know, we are. Do we have it?
Yep, it's the Guyana has enjoyed much.
Yeah.
And again, challenging us to rise above, differences. We got this oil and so on, and it has to benefit all of us, not just some of us. And talking about, again, not being tenants in your own country. This thing can't belong to everybody outside, but belong to all of us.
But there we have let's just run the video and then we get back to the discussion.
But I believe that your country, Guyana, our country, Caribbean country, Guyana, has endured much. And you cannot move from being a highly indebted poor country to where you are today without being given the opportunity, one, to bring along your people who have suffered the indignity of that poverty for decades, but secondly, without being given the opportunity to participate globally in discussions that will affect your ability to manage the development of your people. And I trust and pray that this conference will trigger that international conversation. Thank you, and God bless.
Well, Mia is not saying that. Well, this conference will do this and this conference will do that, because Mia is making some very profound statements throughout her presentation. Person need to go back, look at it, and listen to it from a very strategic point of view. Mia actually, she is saying that the country, the people of this country, needs to benefit from this resource, and that she's hoping that the direction that the government goes into is to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
And that is what I heard in the protest line yesterday. Folks were saying, how come foreigners got to come and beg for us to get a fair share? And our own leaders here in saying, how could we make the lives of the people better? And they're talking about the budget. They're talking about what they've seen so far. Their lived experiences. They're listening to. How come? That's the question we kept hearing, person after person. These guys got to come, Addo and Motley and Santoki, and say, the people are the greatest stakeholders here, and they must benefit.
It is generally a paradigm, and working in government, you see this. There's this paradigm where outsiders always know better than you. They can offer a perspective, like we were just talking about the perspective that PM Motley offered, but it has to be a Guyanese solution for Guyanese problems. And I was heartened to see the protest action yesterday. I have a different take on it, because I noted people were saying, oh, where's the opposition, etc., etc. But I believe what happened in terms of the protest was far more powerful, because it was a people's protest. This was not something that was politically motivated so that the government would say, oh, it's the opposition out there causing problems and creating confusion. This was Guyanese and watered down like that. This was ordinary Guyanese who were saying, we want to be out there. Enough is enough. We are demanding better. And to me, when you understand history and you study movements, you study things like the Arab Spring, and you study all of these civil rights movements, it was never something that was politically birthed. It was always organic, and it began with a groundswell. And so for me, I was happy to see the people out there, civil society out there. Now, we would have attended the conference. We would the expo. We had to buy our tickets because we weren't invited. But again, a part of our strategy has to be that we need to say to those who want to do business with Guyana that the opposition is ready to do business. That we're not just going to be relegated to the picket lines. We have the people and the competence to sit across the table from you, just like the government does. And so you ignore us at your peril, because we are the government in waiting. So that was very, very important. And this is why I'm passionate about saying to our people the fight has to be fought on many fronts. Some people got to be out protesting, and some people have to be in there to show people, look, we got skin in the game, and we are just as competent as any one of the government ministers to talk about Diana's future, to talk about green energy, to talk about our developmental trajectory.
Yep. Agreed. And also with some very stirring words that lifted us up, really and truly, is, as we said, the president of Ghana. And this is what he said. Part of what he said.
And Excellencies, to ensure energy sustainability, it is critical that we balance carefully social, economic, and environmental benefits in a continuously changing world. No energy project, therefore, no matter how high its return on value, is worth it if the interests of some or majority of the stakeholders are not properly represented and they're left impoverished and dissatisfied. In this regard,
it is such a fitting admonition. You have a president of a country that has gone this way before. They have gone this way before, and they're valuable lessons that we can learn. And so there are certain things that we should be avoiding, and he's absolutely correct. If your people end up on the losing end of the stick, what is the value of that project? Some may argue, as I've heard the vice president attempt to do, that we will see the wisdom of it farther along. But he misses a very important paradigm, and that is when your people feel a part of and your people have ownership, you succeed. But they're proceeding, like Joretta, I forget the word Joretta uses, but they're proceeding like oblivious to the needs of the people of Guyana, to the input of the people of Guyana, not even the courtesy of a consultation. And the point that he made about environmental balancing socioeconomic development with preserving the environment is spot on. Is spot on. What is the point of living if you can't breathe the proper air?
I actually want to ask the technician to bring up that video one last time. I have a little different perspective.
This is interesting.
That's why we have the table.
And Excellencies, to ensure energy sustainability, it is critical that we balance carefully social, economic, and environmental benefits in a continuously changing world. No energy project, therefore, no matter how high its return on value, is worth it if the interests of some or majority of the stakeholders are not properly represented and they're left impoverished and dissatisfied. In this regard,
if the interests of some of the majority of the population is not represented and they are left impoverished. This is the president of Ghana speaking in Guyana at our International Energy Conference and Expo. These words must not be taken lightly. This man came and he spoke to the government of Guyana that was sitting right there in front of him. And he is saying to them that he knows what is going on the ground in Guyana. He is saying that he has done his research, and his research based on his speech is indicating that the interests of some or the majority of the people are not being taken into consideration. And I could see that as no other that's my interpretation of it. And I see the president of Ghana being a well-rounded individual. I see him being sound in his reasoning. This was not the first time he has graced these shores. He came and he delivered a very sturdy, strong message. He's saying that he knows what is going on. He said it is not worth it. This venture will not be worth it if some or the majority of the population is not
benefiting or is left impoverished. And it brings us right back, Joretta, to what is coming out now with this gas to shore project. That we are now understanding that despite all the promises that we were told, that there will be no value added just yet. That it would just be pure energy generation. So basically, we're building another power plant, and so I think we really have to take warning and pause.
Yeah.
No, we have to pause.
Yeah.
We have to pause. And sometimes you have to pause to be able to move forward. And I think if Irfan Ali is serious about really developing this country, he, as the person that occupies the seat of the presidency, needs to tangibly.
I like how you put that, as the person that occupies the seat of.
But I think Amanda's
very
point.
careful.
I think Amanda's point is important too. That if you have someone like Ado who's coming from a country who has walked this path and has the experience, you should be listening to them.
You should.
This is the expert.
He gives a list of pointers that he said he wants to give. He was advising. He said he wants to give a list of advice, and he went on and on. I can't remember. It was over 10, I believe. List of advice, and one of the first thing that he said is that the resources must be handled in a transparent way. That's what he said. Transparency. That was his number one. I listened to those speeches repeated times because they delivered profound messages. Both the president of Ghana and the PM from Barbados delivered some very profound messages to Guyana. And if we're to go through those speeches objectively, we will have that proper takeaway that this is what these people are saying. And yes, they did come and they spoke on behalf of the majority of Guyanese, the ordinary Guyanese. They said, do not forget them. That was the message that they brought it all together. Yes, you have all the extravagant plans and all of that, but it is not worth it if the people, the ordinary people, does not benefit from those resources.
I would love to see a different take. I would love to see a different take on how we move forward.
Yes.
I see, for instance, the 7% wage increase. I see the government institute something that 3.5 over the two budgets that we had. And when people push back, Irfan comes out and he beats you over your head. Why are you not accepting this? Why we do you guys a favor?
Yes.
Basically, why are you not accepting this? You come and you abuse out in a press conference. I would like to see more of what Sarah Lynch government does. You have an idea like the Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, and you have to go and sell that to people, village by village, right? Not handing out, half pint split peas, and a pound of sugar. But you have to go and you have to sell the vision, as Amanda talked about. There must be buy-in.
There has to be buy-in
from the people, and that's how you succeed. There's been no buy-in about the gas to shore.
Look, and we have tried in the National Assembly to bring this matter by way of motion. David Patterson would have tabled a motion to say, look, let's discuss this. But again, this is the level of disrespect that this current government demonstrates towards the people of Guyana. You are not even worthy of me discussing this. The vice president said this is what's going to happen and this is what is going to happen.
Well, you have to come to the table.
A cult of personality rather than...
You got to come to the table to discuss. But if you never invited to the table, you never invited to the conference, you never invited to the expo, you got to fight to get there. How are we going to discuss meaningfully and move this country forward?
Even that system that the man is referring to, that the vice president have a system, basically, they don't say that you have to come to this table. He believes that whatever he says, that is
the gospel.
That structure by itself is a self-destructive arrangement.
Absolutely.
That is going to be their downfall, because when you create a system like that and one thing goes wrong, Sugate, for example, then you have this domino effect of everything just falling through, because that is what they created for themselves.
Whereas if you strengthen your institution,
correct,
you
go invest.
It doesn't matter. Go invest. It doesn't matter what happens.
But
because at the end of the day, we're all mortals, We could not be here tomorrow.
I don't want to quote here, but I believe what I heard in the vice president's speech is that there is a Go Invest booth, and the investors were asked to go to that booth and for Go Invest to organize these meetings with them. That is the function of Go Invest.
Yeah, well, you see, this is not what we intended.
This is not what should
Go
be.
Invest is a body that is covered by an act. It has certain powers that
we need to have an entire program
Maybe
on that.
Maybe we should. And so we have to bring the information, credible information.
Yes.
I think
you gotta go to the vice president to invest.
Yeah, and the man say get open door. He welcomes everybody.
When you go invest, they say go invest.
Not realizing that in trying to be fair or appear to be fair, what he has admitted is that he usurps the role of Go Invest.
Yeah. That's the program this morning. I think
It's an hour already.
The
Wow.
guys are saying wrap up.
Wow.
My God.
Let's see this feed so we can shout out a couple of people before we go.
And guys, as we wait on that, it's so important, for us to keep doing more of these programs. We invite you guys to partner with us, and we've got several platforms available. We got whether it's the Cash App platform in which you can contribute to this program, Zelle, we got PayPal, we also have MMG, that's a local Cash App system in Guyana. We got Western Union is available to us, and MoneyGram as well. If you guys want to contribute, you might want to send a message to our MMG number is also our WhatsApp number, 627-6963, 627-6963, and we can tell you guys, give you guidance how you can contribute to this program and the other work that we do.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As
Yep,
our
yep,
web
yep,
bites
yep,
so
yep, yep.
quickly. We have not even touched half of what it is that we intended to do. And we are really grateful. We're really grateful, Pauline Chase and Miss Mingo Bird. Miss Hyacinth. Good morning, Miss Hyacinth. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
And look, we just want to encourage you to go out there, make your day great.
Live your best life.
That greatness lies in you, and just be kind to somebody. The people who don't appear to deserve kindness need it the most.
I hear Rakesh name call it.
Yeah, Rakesh will be sending you a virtual hug, Rakesh.
Rakesh name call it.
And it doesn't take much to be kind.
Probably need to reach out to Rakesh.
Marlon Francois.
Rakesh, you should send us your number so that we could just
Marlon Francois.
Reach out.
Let's talk Rakesh.
And Lennox Anderson.
Sherwin Carter, Joe Newton.
Wilson Blue. It's
Mohammed Fraud. Good to see you too, Mohammed Fraud. Joe Newton, I think you call it Gwenna Jones.
Gwenna Jones. And Erwin Don Cook, one of our faithful viewers.
Teresa Jilks, Teresa. Good to see you. Maureen Coppin Williams and Rowena Cummins. Good to see all of you fantastic folks. You guys make FYI what it is.
Yeah, the last time I called so many names when I was a teacher marking register.
Yes.
One of my first.
We won't miss nobody. Yolanda, Wilton Blue, Orinal Cook.
Laverne Richard and Facade. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And just go out there today. Have a great day. Remember that greatness lies in you.
I love that.
And whatsoever you put your hands to, you will be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So God bless you guys and have a great day. Thank you for joining us here today on FYI.
And see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.